Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear students, Assalamu alaikum. And I'm here with lecture number 1 on the second course, which is Translation and Cultural Studies. Uh, Same way as we discussed outlines, today also we are going to start with the outlines. But I want to re-emphasize on the importance of this first lecture because you remember I was also saying this yesterday's lecture that this is the outline is a kind of line that you adopt to reach somewhere. Yesterday, my analogy was a map for traveling, and today, my analogy is a line. So, focus on the line. So, although this line is not straight like this, it is something like this, something like that. You, the students, they have also a role to play in the outlines. I mean, in the course, achieving the objectives of the course, and the teacher also plays a very vital role in that part of the course. So same way you will be seeing me, and at the same time with the help of the PPTs, because this will help me to be on to be focused on particular topics instead of straying here and going there and there. You know, the lectures, the professors, they have tendency of talking, and one topic leads to many other topic, and then that many other topics, they opens more topics. So these outlines actually are good in that sense that you also see the point that I'm discussing, and also the teacher has this facility, or is binding to stick to that particular topic. So as you can see, the title of the course is Translation and Cultural Studies. The course code is here, which is translation MS. It must have been MSTS, and C is, as I told you, is common, that can be taught in either in Arabic and English. And for International Islamic University, we have two recognized languages, official languages. One is Arabic, and the other is English. And for the same reason which I told you yesterday, I would be using English in this recorded lecture, and for the same purpose, because we keep the background of the students in mind, but we can use also Arabic in our face-to-face interaction inside the classroom. Well, see the title of this course first. Translation, and we all know, or at least we have a good idea of what translation is, and how does it take place, and how it should take place, and what are the strategies, and so on and so forth. Means translation means the multilingualism. The many languages are involved in translation. The addition is cultural studies. The cultural studies, that is one part of the sociology in this modern era. Is the I mean is the part of studies where the culture is the topic of research. Uh, but remember one thing, here we are going to discuss the language culture. So the cultural studies that are related to the language phenomena, the phenomenon of human language, and come back to the translation where at least we have two languages. So the cultural studies combined into more than two languages. So how the ideas, theories, thinking, discoveries coming from cultural studies have affected the area of translation or theories of translation. I don't want to talk more about that, because that is the objective of further lectures. But I want to say few sentences about this. About 40 years before, translation was considered a pure linguistic related activity. Pure language or linguistic related activity means, there are sounds of the languages, then the words, then the morphological aspects, then the syntax, then the meanings, and so on and so forth. All the theories that were developed until 40 years ago around the translation studies, they were mainly focusing on the text structure, the language, written or spoken language. But then the influence of the cultural aspects came from the sociology and anthropology and cultural studies, and they affected translation theories. So this is the main, circle where we would be knowing the theories that developed out of this influence. I think this is enough since we are just talking about the outlines. So let's start the outlines. Same way, I'm your facilitator. I call myself facilitator. Why? Because learning learning is not one-sided activity. It means the teacher gives the knowledge and the students take the knowledge and they fill their bags with that knowledge and they think now we are knowledgeable. This is very old-fashioned thinking about this thing, which is called. I call myself facilitator. That I provide you material, I provide you some guidance. I am ready to discuss something, but you also an active part of this learning process. That's why I'm facilitator. I'm not a teacher in that sense. It's very difficult to be a teacher in that sense, I tell you, because you have to take the huge responsibility of your students. So I cannot take, and I think I have found that this methodology is always very helpful in giving a good confidence to the students as well. So my name is there. After that, the email, I have talked about the importance of this email and why I'm providing you this email, because the further communication and conversation regarding this course and academic matters would be done through this. And as I told you, and I'm repeating, send your email on this email, and after that I will be creating a group in my email box for male separately and for female, and then would be sending material, PPTs, and whatever is necessary to send. You will also see here Facebook ID. This Facebook ID actually, maybe in this semester we would not be needing it, but we used it for another purpose. I'm sorry I cannot offer you this because this is all virtual. And even if in a face-to-face session, perhaps you would be offering me this cup of tea. We use this Facebook ID because I used to have online lectures for male and female at the same time through this Facebook, through a Facebook group. It was a secret closed group for only meant for registered students, so that they watch my lecture, uh, live lecture at the same time, and then of course the system which is now no more in use. Parts of the outline, as in the pedagogy, we have 5 things here: objectives, contents, recommended books, teaching learning method, and grading scheme. I hope now I don't need to talk about what why there should be objectives and what do we mean by objectives, and the contents means topics, and the recommended books and teaching learning method, and then the grading scheme. If you have watched my previous lecture on outlines on pedagogy, translation pedagogy, I think this can compensate. But I would try to repeat things because maybe these lectures I would upload them on YouTube, so some people there would only watch this, and they didn't know, or they don't know the other lectures, which is of course where the things have been repeated. So, students, my dear students, my colleagues, my respected friends, objectives means or response to question why. For example, I'm taking this coffee. So you can ask me, I should ask myself why I am taking this coffee. Too. So why my answer could be this, that I'm tired, so I need some instant energy or a stimulant, body stimulant, so that I would, we be able to talk in a fresh mood, in a good way. So why? Because of this. There can be another, in daily life we have this lot of why, although we don't ask this why. We do a lot of things, but back in mind we do not say that, but back in mind there is answer to why. So why are you coming to the university? Why are you coming to the Department of Translation? You should have an objective. Why are you studying MS Translation Studies? You must have an objective. Why are the students are studying BS Translation, and why are you studying Arabic language? Objective. Why are you studying engineering? Objective. Why are you studying medicine? Objective. Why are you coming to this university? Not to us, not to fast, not to other. Some objectives are always there. So this is very important in any intellectual activity, that we should have an answer to why. We should have this question why, and then we should have a good answer to this why, because in the end of the semester, in the end of the course, we always try to relate this why to, did we, objectives. Why did we achieve these objectives, and then we can assess that in the end of the semester. I hope this point is very, this important point is now is clear, at least to my students in this semester, because repetition I'm repeating. Be content, that are the topics that we are going to study, the recommended books and teaching learning methods and grading scheme. So let's start with the objectives. Number one is exposing the students to the concept of culture. Concept, what culture is, its relation to language, and there are three things. Basically, there, if we want to break these objectives into smaller pieces, there are three things, three objectives, sub objectives of number one. Number one, three sub objective. Number one is concept of culture. So we need to understand, what do we mean by culture? Uh, why do we mean that? Because we are going to study the influence of cultural studies on the translation phenomenon. This is number one. Number two is the relation of culture to any language, to human language. Because if we understand this relationship, we would be much better to understand the further theories that have emerged. Then the relationship of culture to the translation actions, translation, actual translating activities. How the culture affects translation, and how can translation affects a particular culture. So, in objective number one, we are going to discuss these three things. Objective number two, and read carefully, making the learners of problems of translating culturally bound expressions and strategies to solve these problems. Again, three key words in this objective: culturally bound expressions. How to translate culturally bound? What do we mean by culturally bound expression? Culturally bound expressions is a very is a very loose term. It's a very wide term used in the area. For example, proverbs used in a language. For example, names of the food that we eat in a particular culture, but they are cultural specific. So there are food that are specific to Pakistan, to this subcontinent culture, but in English culture they are different. In Chinese culture they are not. And vice versa. Also in Arabic culture, they have different kinds of food and names, and we don't have those. A lot of example habits, words used for our customs, words used for our daily life, which they are different from other cultures. So when we translate these words related to that, there are problems. Okay, so strategies to solve this problem. There are problems. The second keyword is the problems of translating. Problems. What are the problems of translating that particular part of in a language, culturally bound expressions to the other language? And then there are strategies. Scholars have suggested strategies to solve these problems. This objective actually is a little bit different from the whole main objective of the course, but I have included this objective and of course part of the activities also into this course for sake of practical translating purpose. You will see that we would be doing it, inshallah. Objective number three is exposing the students to theories aspiring from cultural and ideological turn in translation studies. I'm stopping here. I will complete after that. Exposing the students to theories springing from the cultural, and this is bold, and you will see this inverted commas, cultural and ideological turn in translation studies. As I told you when I was talking the title of this course, this here actually the change is coming. The cultural and ideological turn in translation studies. So I think I have told you, but I repeat it that the the, the linguistic here, about 40 years ago, the the translation, the area of translation study started diverting from linguistic analysis, contrastive analysis, comparative analysis to the cultural analysis. And here we see the influence of culture, ideology, politics on translation activity, on translation itself, on translator, on translation profession, and many other things in the area of translation studies. So what are those theories which have emerged as a result of this thing? Now the like now theories, I need to complete it. Like translation as rewriting, it's a theory. So translation in this theory is considered as if you are not trying to transfer the meanings of the source text to the target text. Not at all. In this theory, translation is taken as rewriting in the target text. Rewriting. So writing, you are writing something in the source text. Translator comes and rewrite it in the target language. Of course, so the theory needs a little more explanation, and we will be talking about it. Gender and translation, that is the gender issue has become very important in the Western studies and influencing the translation theories as well. So, how when very simple way is that is if women translate something, does their gender, affect their translation? Or their translations are different from men because of the gender, and so on and so forth. Very briefly, this is the crux. This is the basic idea behind this idea. Okay, post-colonial translation theories, where we see how imperialism, post-colonialism, the dominance of the Western powers on Muslim world, on other third world countries have affected their languages, and how they have treated, how this post-colonialism and imperialism has treated those languages in the colonized areas. Then the translation agendas. There are other theories as well, like translation manipulation, politics of translation. I'm sure these things would be very new for us, for our students, but I'm at the same time, I'm sure, I hope that you would work hard to understand these issues because they will widen your perspective and horizon about translation studies. Objective number four is making the students abreast of invisibility of translator and ethical consequences. And again, theories emerging from the cultural and ideological turn, and they have further gone into the depth or deep analysis of how these things have affected the translation activity of the translator or the life of the translator and so on. The key word in this objective, although I'm not sure, it's a little bit ambiguous right now for you, but when we discuss this, you would be knowing this: invisibility of translator. Uh, Invisibility of translator in the text when a translator translates something from one language to another, and his invisibility is a question mark. And some of the scholars, they have raised this question, and they say their theory suggests that the translator should be very much visible in the translation. Again, we are referring back to the culture or the theories that have emerged out of the cultural and ideological turn in translation studies. Okay, let's take some breath. We have discussed the objectives of, and I hope that these objectives are now clear uh, for you. Now come to the contents, and in the contents, as always, this is my style. Maybe I think it should be the introduction, because without introduction, you introduction is a kind of main gate where actually you get into that building of that course and start feeling the environment, the surrounding of that building, mean that course. So, in the introduction, we have three things: concept of culture, language, and culture. This can be related to objective number one: concept of culture, language, and culture in translation and culture. If you see objective number one here, you will find the students with the concept of culture, its relation to language and translation. So, we would be achieving this objective number one through this introduction with these three subtopics. Number two is translation of culturally bound expressions, problems, and strategies. As I told you, this will achieve objective number two, which is here, making the learners aware of problems of translating culturally bound expressions and strategies to solve these problems. So we can also relate the contents of the topics to the objective: translation of culturally bound expression, problems, and be attentive. This topic, with this objective in the objectives of the course, is basically different from the main objective of this course. This topic, with the objective number two in the objectives of this course, are different. Both things are different. They are not the core of this course, so they are different from the main objective of this course. Now question arises, why I am including this or that objective and this topic. I am including this objective and that objective and this topic for one reason: because the theories that we would be talking about are very little philosophical and needs efforts. So what I want is for my students that they start from some practical aspects, because in this topic I'm not going to talk about the theories too much. I'm just going to give you some examples. I have included two articles for this topic. So I'm going to talk about the examples, analyzed examples, and how these things can be translated from English into Arabic and from Arabic into English, so that you have some practical knowledge, and through this practical exercise uh, you would be in a better position to enter into the main topics of this course. Here it is. Here we are going to enter the main, you know, topic of the course is theories of cultural turn in translation studies. And as we have seen in the objective, this is related to objective number 3 in translation, rewriting, ideological tensions, translation and gender, postcolonial translation theories, ideological manipulation in translation, translation agendas, and there are a couple of others as well. Translation and politics, translation and power politics, power and translation, power relationship between source language and the target language. There are many other dimensions of these theories that have nowadays become essential part of translation studies. uh, you can see these things would be needing more energy from our mind and brain to understand, and inshallah I will try to make things much easier than they are in the book or in the chapters that we have selected from the book. Right. Number 4, which is matching objective number 4, the invisibility of the translator and the ethical consequences. Here we have foreignizing versus domesticating and negative analytic and deformation of translation, position and positionality of the literary translator, and the power network of publishing industries, the reception of translation, the sociology of translation. You see the things here, mainly you can feel that, of course, at that right now you are not able to understand them completely, but you can feel that through these titles, that power network of publishing industry, that the external factors. So publishing industry is a linguistic matter. Publishing industry is not a source text, is a target text. Publishing industry is out of all these things, but the power network of publishing industry is affecting translation. So hence we have theories and the reception of the translation, not related to the source text or the target text or the linguistic aspects of SL and TL. It is related to the reception of translation, how the translation, a certain translation has been received by the readers, by the critics, by the reviewers, and so on. And then the sociology of translation. There are social aspects that are related and very important to the translation itself, the translators, the translation agencies, the status of translation in the society, etc. So these are the topics or the contents that we are going to discuss in this course. Now, C is teaching learning focus. Very same. It's the same as we have seen in the previous lecture, which is pedagogy. But I would like to say what I have said there. The focus shall be on combining theory and practice, reflected in lectures on topics and practical work by the students on various topics. So, right from the translating culturally bound expressions, they are actually the practice based things, and then entering into the cultural and ideological turns in translation studies, theories related to that. Also, my intention is to put you in a practical exercise simultaneously with the theory and the practical exercise, because in my view, what you learn through book is very smaller, but what you learn by doing something, what you have learned from the book, and then you implement it in your life, and then you practice this in your on something, apply it on something, you learn really good things through through those activities. Same way, I would ask you to do some advanced reading by you know by you people of advanced reading. Particular topic would be would be would be there, and you would be asked to do that particular topic, and followed by video lectures by me, and the lectures would be of between 50 to 60 minutes. And yes, when you watch the lectures, please keep a diary with you, hold a pen or something for writing. Nowadays people also use mobile phone for their typing is good, or maybe laptop, their typing is good. They can write their question. Do not forget to note your questions or the problem that you are facing in during watching the video lecture, or even during advanced reading, assigned advanced reading. Do not forget to keep a diary, a notebook, a pen with you, so that you know, because usually human beings, we forget. At that moment our brain is very quick, and we understand, oh, this is the question. If we do not register it, the probability is that we will forget it after some time. So the best solution is that you keep a diary and a pen or something like that for noting down your questions, your problems at the same time. Uh, in this way of learning and teaching, you don't need to note the points, because everything is in front of you. The material you would have video lectures, and you would have also ppts in your hands, so you don't need to write down the note points of the lecture, because they are already there. So what you need is things that you don't understand, problems and questions, because they are very important for you, they are important for me, they are very important for achieving the objective. uh, you would also be receiving the ppts of each lecture, like this outlines. And for that, as I said in the beginning, that you would send me your email to my email written here on this page, and I would create a group, and in this way I would be sending you these ppts, or if need be some other material, if you developed more interest in this course, because I have a lot of material in this course as well. And then, yes, so you will be getting ppts through your email. But remember one thing: videos not through email. You will be getting copy of video through the teaching assistants. That's number 5 in this slide. You can see teaching assistants. I'm coming to that. But the video lectures, don't ask any person to send you video lectures through email. I have another idea. I'm thinking on that, and if one of the students help me, I would like to upload my lectures on YouTube, and ask my students to go there and watch or then download if need be. So this is, I think, another good way of exchanging our material. Become cold now. Question answer session face to face. Same way as I said in pedagogy, and I'm saying it here again. On Monday, you would be watching my lecture about one of the topics in the course of translation pedagogy. On Tuesdays, you would be watching a lecture on a selected topic in this course, translation and cultural studies, followed by face-to-face interaction inside the classroom. In female campus, I shall be available inshallah at 4 o'clock for that face-to-face interaction. In that session, we would be discussing the problems, questions related to translation pedagogy and also to this course together. And same day at 6 o'clock, inshallah, here in Male Campus, in my office, I would be giving time for this session to the students for both the courses. Uh, I think this is enough for getting the idea that how we are going to move on. Number five is the teaching assistant. This time I'm doing this experiment. One teaching assistant would be assisting me in female, and another is in male campus. And their duties would become very clear for you when you meet them. They would be arranging the video lectures and the logistics for the video lectures, and other couple of things that are needed to run this method successfully. But remember one thing, my dear students: anything related to the course, to the assignments, to the projects, to the intellectual discussions, to the concepts, to the theories, it's me, between me and you. It's between me. Maybe these teaching assistants, because they have studied these two courses, maybe they also share their knowledge with you. That's fine. That is, I would encourage them to share their knowledge, what they did in the when they were studying this course, what kind of projects they did, how did they do that, how, what problems they faced. This is fine. I do not stop them to do that. They will be also helping you, but the mainly, the because it's a matter of assessment. We are going to assess you. I'm going to assess you in these two courses. So matters related to the academic matters and the assessment, make things clear with me. Do not rely on the teaching assistants. Books, I have written here two books for you: Introducing Translation Study. It is Jeremy Monday, and I always recommend my students, please take this book. I have soft copy, and if you want me, if you ask me, I would send the whole book. It's a wonderful book for having a good knowledge about the area of translation studies. Almost all the theories have been discussed in this book. I have taken chapter number 8 and 9 from this book, Jeremy Monday's book, and I think these two chapters are enough for the purpose of this course. But I would recommend you people to get a copy from me, a soft copy at least from me. And this book is also available in the Central Library. And if you want soft copy, ask me. I will send through the emails that you would provide me. Number two, Translation and Culture by Catherine M. Fall. This is also another book. I have not benefited this book from too much, but this book is also good if you want extended reading, if you want more knowledge about this area. And what I did is that I selected some articles and chapters, these two chapters from this book, and combined them in a book. So you will be getting this book hopefully from Rafia after paying the fee. This is photocopied from, and there's a price, of course, for the book. So you better get the copy, I think, as early as possible, because I'm going to give you the assignment for further for the next lectures, for the next lecture at least, the coming week. Hi, here is the most important for you: grading scheme. You see, the class assignment and part is very similar to the previous one. The class assignments, 5 marks on regular basis, no change for number 2 as well. Midterm exam, 10 marks. I have given you my opinion, my comments on sit-in exams, midterm, especially because I think this is, you know, it's important, but it's not too much. It's not very, you know, much important. Number 3 is application on taught theories. So I would be giving you some topics to apply some of the theories to number topic number 3 and topic number 4. There are theories under each topic. So some of the theories that you apply: select a text, translated text, and apply a theory, a part of the theory on that translated text, of course. And then uh, you would be giving a presentation on that. Number four is presentation on given articles, extended reading. I did this in the previous 2 semesters, but it's not final that I would do, because if this activity is skipped or deleted in this semester, the number three marks of number three would become 25, because that is very very important. And then we have final exam 60 marks and total 100, and then it becomes 65 marks with C plus. So let's start, before I forget, because I forgot to give you the assignment in the previous in the pedagogy, but I will give you that. But let's start that. Your assignment, that is the advanced reading assignment, this one is this one. This is a concept of the topic in the book, which is already, I think, should have been reached there in female campus. So the topic, I'm giving you the topic number one, which is concept of culture. There's it's a very good article on the concept of culture, and please do not focus much on the definitions when you read this article. Focus on the characteristics of culture, because the characteristics, I think 12 characteristics of culture, they will give you a good idea of what culture is according to the latest definition of culture. In the beginning of the article, the writer is discussing a lot of definitions, and in the 18th century, the 19th century, and then the latest, and then now. So the point is that we should have, we don't need to memorize these definitions as such, but what we need to understand, what are the different characteristics of culture. Because when we try to define something, uh, our traditional way is to bring a good definition, quote unquote. I think this is good for memorization, but if you focus on the characteristics of something, I give you one example, because we are just talking too much about this. What is this? Because this is a thing which we all know. It looks very simple, but if I ask you, give the definition of this. Definition of a pencil, right? So I think you would be saying like that. It is a stick-like device made of wood around a lead for the purpose of writing. It's a definition. And what is the tendency of the students to learn in this case? That he would try to memorize it. As for the concept of culture, my suggestion is, do not try to memorize the definitions, but try to read them and understand them, and then go beyond to the characteristics of culture, because they are very important. Let's now try to discuss the characteristics separately. Characteristics. Huh? Size of the pencil is a characteristics. Okay. Shape of the pencil is a characteristics. It's a round form or whatever it is. Material of the pencil is a material made of wood. Characteristics, not made of steel. And then lead inside is a characteristics. And it must be sharpened whenever the lead is finishing. And the size, oh yeah, I have discussed the size. And then purpose, then we say we can write for the writing, used for the writing purpose, another characteristics, and it can be erased with the eraser. So we are now dividing things in characteristics and trying to understand what pencil is. Just like that concept of culture, and the writer has given very good characteristics of culture. So when you read this article, focus on the characteristics, and this would be the topic of my next lecture in this course. You see, yeah, here advanced reading is that you read the article in the book that is already there, followed by video lecture by me, and with the help of the PPT, and then I will send you PPT slides through email, and then I would have a face-to-face session with you for discussing your questions and problems, and with the assistance or help of the teaching assistants, one there in female and one here in male campus. So take very good care of everything that I have discussed. Take very good care of yourself, my dear student, and get ready, because now we are starting the journey to this course. Have a good time. Good luck. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. So let me close this.